Former PhilHealth President Ricardo Morales admitted during the Senate hearings that there is systematic fraud in the agency. While PhilHealth is facing separate investigations in both houses of Congress and the Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission, there is yet no substantial results from the investigations on widespread corruption. The new chief of PhilHealth, former NBI Director Dante Gierran, is now tasked to lead and clean up the organization. How will the new PhilHealth chief face the challenge? We discuss in this episode of The Chiefs. Welcome to the Tuesday edition of The Chiefs, and with us tonight we have a complete cast. We have Ana Marie Pamintuan of the Philippine Star, we have Lucy Cruz Valdez, the head of News 5, and Robbie Alampay of One News. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening.
Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas. No? Bear ngayon.
Bear na, Merry Christmas!
Ang pinakahihintay niyo lahat.
Hindi ka na ulitin yung kahapon na season's greetings.
Season's greetings. Pinalitan ni Jose Morichan yung lyrics.
So what's our big story today?
Yun, isa sa istorya yun. Pinalitan niya yung lyrics.
Dante
Well, of course, si General Cascolan has been named, hindi na siya OIC, siya na talaga yung PNP chief. Although he'll be retiring in a few months.
Okay.
November lang pala siya, no?
In a few months.
Yeah.
A few months,
November? So we're looking at what, 2 months?
November.
Yeah.
Okay.
Revolving door.
Yun ang revolving door talaga.
Can you imagine on your bio data, on your CV, Chief PNP, September to October?
Yung retirement pay nun.
Yung retirement pay.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, you retire with the pay of the Chief PNP.
And that's it's been going on for the longest time. It's part of, call it whatever. Call it tradition, call it how it's done. But that's really how it's been. This revolving door has been going on for all administrations.
Hindi lang sa police.
But there was a time that there was a time that people were so upset with it that they kahit paano they tried to lessen it kahit paano for a while eh.
May mga off and on attempts, di ba? Pero sabi ko sa Supreme Court nangyari, di ba?
Exactly.
Di ba?
Exactly. And sa Supreme Court. Yeah, and sa Supreme Court, we won't name names, but I know some people were really split about yung seniority, but the argument on the other side of it, some people refused to jump the line because precisely it's been going on for the longest time, and ang argument ng iba is you want to upend it, but actually that's the one thing that's partly keeping it stable. Diba? You may agree or you may not, but you did see that every time you try to change that system, this revolving door, the seniority system, whatever, meron talagang umaalma, and it's hard to change the system. It's hard to change the
pros and cons din. May pros and cons.
Yeah, like I said, you could agree, disagree, but that's we also see in many institutions na where they value seniority, yun yung nakasanayan, and it really does. Meron talagang cons. I guess that's the point. Meron talagang pros, di ba? Because it's not necessarily a meritocracy. Nothing against the people who get appointed, but it's if you acknowledge a revolving door, that's not a meritocracy.
Yeah.
Yes. Saka ang isa pa natin hinihintay ngayon,
innovation in a way, Parang are you gonna go with a tradition, or are you gonna welcome changes in the way things are done? It's always an issue for some.
Ang isa pa natin hinihintay ngayon, kung bibigyan ng pwesto si General Archie Gamboa.
Diba? Kung ano.
Kasi sabi niya, of course, he said, I'm open to an appointment in the civilian government. So, yun, isa pa natin hinihintay yun.
Buti hindi sa kanya binigay yung PhilHealth. Kasi tiyempo-tiyempo.
At tiyempo-tiyempo, ayan ikaw ang nagsisegue.
Hindi.
Wala siyang health background, wala siyang finance background. Di ba mga mga requirements under the universal health care. So, yun.
Pero accountant siya, saka abogado.
Yeah, that's also true. Like the incoming PhilHealth chief, which is something we want to ask him later. Kasi nga, there are 2 laws that specify the requirements or the requisites for the PhilHealth president. Let's ask him later if it was followed in his opinion. We are talking, of course, of Dante Gierran, formerly the NBI director since 2016 until I think around February this year, di ba? Nag-retire lang siya this year. And he's coming in as a PhilHealth chief.
Yeah, and that's one thing that a lot of people may or may not know. Pero sa NBI po, hindi lang naman agents yung mga yan. You're either a lawyer or you're a CPA. Diba? So,
actually, requirement yun, Bok. Requirement yun. Ako, nagbago na ngayon. Pero dati, from way before kasi, you have to be either a lawyer or a CPA.
Yeah.
So, otherwise, hindi ka pwede mag-NBI agent eh.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Si Mr. Gierran is an accountant. No. Saka pwede natin siyang tanungin dahil kanina yung Senate din na yung report, di ba? Medyo matindi ang recommendation nila.
Yeah. The 2 sides kasi, di ba? Parang obviously from the side of President Duterte, he was very explicit about it. Sabi niya, mandate mo, maghanap ka dyan ng makukulong, maghanap ka dyan ng corrupt. Hanapin natin kung sino pwedeng ikulong. On the other hand, we've had so many guests, dito, proponents of UHC especially, who have been saying that, we need somebody who understands the insurance business, the insurance industry. We need somebody who will know how to run it. So we will see. Kasi I don't know if it's just modesty, but alam naman natin ang quote ngayon kay Mr. Gierran na kanina he's saying, I'm intimidated by the position dahil wala akong alam dyan. I mean, that was the quote. But I don't know if it's just modesty, but we'll get to know from him later what exactly he meant and what exactly is the mandate and conversation nila ni President Duterte.
Actually, ang dami niyang gagawin no? Hindi lang siya mag-investigate, kundi mag-appoint siya ng mga kapalit ng mga tatanggalin. Ang dami nun.
Reshuffle.
Di ba binigyan na ng mandate tanggal or reshuffle? No? Una nga tanggalin di ba? Lahat ng mga regional directors.
At saka may kinalaman yan sa di ba?
Even that's going to be a lot of work.
Which also raises the question: do you appoint a PhilHealth president to investigate the PhilHealth, or do you appoint a PhilHealth president to fix the PhilHealth while somebody else investigates the agency?
Exactly. And yung kung papalitan mo yung mga tao, may kinalaman yan doon sa unang pinag-uusapan natin. Whatever the system is, pagka umalma yung sistema sa'yo, di ba? That's part of the problem. Even with people tasked with reforming precisely, di ba? Whether you're talking about customs, PR, all of these notoriously headache agencies, hindi ganun kasimple na papalitan mo lang. And in fact, pagka pinalitan mo lang lahat-lahat, magkakasubukan, di ba?
Naku, hirap mo. Yeah. Saka it's not really a good way to start any term. No? Unang moist, tanggal kayong lahat, diba? Tapos, it doesn't help na yung PhilHealth Union niya, yung workers, medyo ayaw nila, hindi sila masyadong welcoming kay Gierran. So, challenge.
Mahirap magtatanggal-tanggal basta-basta kung hindi ka pamilyar doon sa health systems at sa insurance system.
Definitely.
Diba? Kasi sino yung papalit mo kung hindi ka pa pamilya doon sa sistema?
Lalo ngayon na kailangan ng PhilHealth ngayon. Hindi ka pwede basta tanggal-tanggal dyan. Anyway, siguro, mag-gap muna tayo. We're waiting for...
Hindi, mamaya ng konti pa raw.
Hindi pa ba?
mamaya pa raw ng konti. But anyway, Ami, you were talking kanina about
yung investigation.
You were talking about the Senate investigation, di ba? So, may recommendations na yung Senate Committee on the whole. Di ba? How do they square that with Dick Gordon's the chairman's report?
Hindi nga ba hindi pinirmahan
kasi the chairman's report pa lang
Kaya nga committee of the whole to, syempre mas matindi yan. And they recommend, hindi naman kasi yung kay Senator Gordon naman. So that's the well-made issue
Yes,
well-made
and seniors.
Yeah, and the seniors. Ito yung pinaka-latest. Ito na yung kila Ricardo Morales. Saka, well, isinama ng Senate sa recommendation nila, of course, si Health Secretary Duque. And I was listening to Ricardo Morales kanina. Sabi niya, it will take 3 years at least to implement the necessary reform, sabi niya.
Of course,
sa PhilHealth na yan. Saka sabi niya, kailangan daw merong external management group na magre-recommenda kung anong gagawin. In fact, nirekomenda daw niya yun sa board. Kaya lang wala daw pera, wala daw pondo para matuloy. So, ewan ko kung kayang gawin niya ni Mr. Gierran ngayon. Tapos, syempre, kaya ang sinasabi sa kanya ni Dick Morales well, I wish him good health.
Wala pa siyang, going to what Lucy was saying, di ba? Wala pa siyang sariling action. Wala pa nga siya sinasabi. And in fact, he's playing it safe. Pero doesn't matter because the president already imbued him with this position and his mandate na hindi pupunta ka diyan para manggulo, pupunta ka diyan para halugugin mga tao. So you're right, Lucy, I can't imagine going into a department, di ba, with very entrenched ways and alam ng lahat ng tao na pagpasok niyan bukas hindi natin alam kung ano gagawin sa atin lahat.
Sibak ang first move, di ba? Sibakan. Wow. Ang hirap.
Yung din yung pinasok ni Morales, di ba, last year? That was only in June last year. So, tingnan mo kung ano nangyari in just a little over a year, nagkagulo-gulo na rin.
Yeah.
So, siyempre, iniisip din yan ni Mr. Gierran, ano?
And in just a year, nasira si Dick Morales, ha?
Yes. Although
before that, he had a very good reputation.
Of course, he denied na he did anything wrong. And sabi nga niya, he's ready to face any investigation. He will cooperate fully kahit na ilalabanan niya yung kanyang cancer. So, tingnan natin kung ano mangyari.
The other question is whether it's really the system that's at fault, or it's the people running the system, you know? Kasi when you talk about graft and corruption, really, parang no matter how good the system is, diba? Talagang may gustong magnakaw, gagawa ng paraan. I mean, collusion is always a problem. So feeling ko kung minsan, yung system ba talaga, kasi I remember we talked to Morales and in-explain na niya yung internal reimbursement, no? Na ano siya, parang kumbaga pipigyan mo na ng pondo para na hindi na ma-hamper yung service hospital, no? Which in a way really does make sense. Kaya lang yun na nga, parang you wonder, is there a better system really? Kasi the downside of it is if you're a patient or if you're the hospital owner, di ba? Kailan ka makakakuha ng reimbursement? Pag nalulugi ka na at wala ka ng magamot na pasyente, di ba? So that's also a problem. So you wonder, it's the system or it's the people inhabiting the system, diba?
Okay. Well, guys, we just have to go into a break, but when we come back, we will be with incoming PhilHealth President Dante Gierran. So please stay with us. And welcome back to the Chiefs. As promised, with us tonight is incoming PhilHealth Chief Dante Gierran. Sir, are you there? Oh, yes, sir. Sir, magandang gabi po at maraming salamat po for joining us tonight.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening po. Sir, well, it's very good to know that you have the trust and the confidence of the President. Pero let me ask you po a question that, of course, is top of mind of everybody else. Una-una, bakit po si Dante Gierran? What does Dante Gierran bring to the table? Of course, we know you are a lawyer. We know you're an accountant, CPA as well, and you were formerly director of the NBI. Pero what makes you different from all the other former presidents of PhilHealth na may background sa health systems o insurance systems?
Maybe, Sir Ed, you should have asked the question to the President himself.
No, sir. I'm asking you po as somebody who has accepted the position.
That's why you should have asked the President. It's the President's decision that to pick me out of retirement. I'm into retirement, you know. I retired just last February.
Yes, sir. Just this February. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, sir. We understand, sir. But well, of course, we cannot ask the president because the president does not grant interviews anymore. But however, tinatanong po namin kayo dahil siyempre po, kayo po yung gagawa ng tungkulin at kayo po yung tumanggap na posisyon. So sa inyo pong ganito lang po. Sige, baguhin ko lang po yung tanong para mas komportable po kayo. Ano po ang balak ninyong gawin na naiiba doon sa ginawa ng inyong mga predecessor?
Well, siguro, I will do something that they have not done. And I will not do the thing that they have done that make the corporation profitable right now.
Mr. Gierran, ganito, yesterday po, pakinggan ko po yung address ni President Duterte when he introduced you. And among the things he said is, go, hanap ka ng corrupt dyan, hanap tayo ng makukulong dyan. I'm just curious po, nung nag-usap po kayo, how did he describe his mandate for you? What did he tell you he wants you to do?
The words I heard from the President was, I have only 2 years remaining, and I would like to that in these 2 years remaining, I'd like to go after all the grafters in the government, and one is the PhilHealth. So you have to lead the PhilHealth so that you would fight corruption from within.
Other than fighting graft and corruption, what do you see needs to be done in terms of the systems of PhilHealth?
Well, there are reports I heard that says that the funds, the resources of the corporation, the PhilHealth, would not last until 2022. So with that, as an accountant, I have to check on the records, the finance.
Wala.
Oh, I think.
Ayan.
Sir Gierran, maaari po bang paki-adjust lang po yung computer ninyo para makita po ang mukha ninyo? Yan. Salamat po, sir. Salamat po, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. You were beginning to talk about the systems, what you're going to do to straighten up the systems.
Well, as I told Sir Dingaw, I have to fight corruption. That's certain. It's a marching order from the president that I had to fight corruption within PhilHealth. Stop corruption. Stop the bleeding of PhilHealth and go after the grafters and send them to jail. And of course, we have to determine also the financial condition of the PhilHealth, of the corporation, and because of the reports that the corporation is lacks the fund now. It would not even last up to 2022. So I'm telling you that I'll have to look into the records of the PhilHealth, and if we find that there's the funds is no longer sufficient, then we have to ask Congress to add more money to the corporation.
Mr. Gierran, I'll be more specific, no? Itutuloy niyo pa ba yung interim reimbursement mechanism? Kasi yun yung iniimbestigahan ng husto ng Senado eh. Are you planning to continue with it?
I am not so aware of that interim, meaning the technical matter about interim reimbursement. But what I know,
Pinapa-advance po yung mga hospital ng pera.
it's basically an advance money.
Yes.
No? And the problem is they were able to pay hospitals even without the board resolution by
Yes.
the board of directors.
Yes.
So, and they failed to let the hospital.
Mr. Gierran, pakiulit lang.
Sir, napuputol po kayo.
Pakiulit lang, itutuloy niyo pa. Kung walang board resolution, itutuloy niyo pa rin or will you require, kapag ganitong mga bagay, will you require board approval? Kasi dinidepensa po yan ni Mr. Morales eh. Na under certain circumstances daw, pwede naman daw yung mga ganyan na walang board approval, lalo na kung emergency. So itutuloy niyo po ba yon? At will you always ask for board approval? Just to minimize opportunities for wrongdoing, for anomalies.
Ayan na nga eh. Bakit mo itutuloy? May problema na nga eh. Bakit itutuloy?
So hindi ito.
And then why will you not seek for a board approval? Yun ay corporation operates through the board resolution. No? So why not why make an exception up to COVID? You see? And, ganun ba katagal ang mag-issue or mag-deliberate ng board resolution about COVID? And besides, ang problema doon, sa naririnig ko po, no, as I'm hearing, the money that was supposed to be spent for COVID was not actually spent for COVID, something else.
Apa.
Sir, sir,
Kinasuhan
yes, sir.
na sila. Kakasuhan na nga sila ng Senado.
Sir, if I may, sir, gaano po kayo kapamilyar na doon sa sistema ng PhilHealth? Have you been up to date with the developments doon sa PhilHealth? Kayo po ba yung nakakapag-monitor doon sa lahat ng mga hearings, for example, sa Senado, sa Kongreso, or would you ask for a briefing or special session with the PhilHealth people?
I'd have to ask for briefing or special session for that matter. Kasi naging interesado naman ako lately nitong hearing. You know, I was on the retiring mood. No? So parang nawala na sa akin yung wala na ako ng unless until such time na tinawagan ako ni Senator Bongo at saka ni Yusik Boy Kitain.
Sir, matanong ko lang po yung conversation nyo with President Duterte, no? Kasi napanood ko kayo kanina at sinabi nyo nga na matagal kayong nag-usap dahil precisely ayaw nyo na sana. Ano ho ang nakapag-convince sa inyo to take on this job? Gayong gusto nyo na talaga at na-enjoy nyo na ang inyong retirement. Anong sinabi nyo sa Pangulo?
Actually, hindi ko sinabi sa Pangulo na ayaw ko. Can you say no to the President? It's only within myself that I should have told myself na ayaw ko na sana. But with the President seeking your help, and this is for the country, can you decline the request of the President?
Okay. Ngayon, ang sinabi niya sa inyo, sir, ayusin lahat in 2 years. Sa tingin niyo po ba doable po ito?
Yes, I told the President I can do. I can do this in the remaining years that you will be staying in power, because I have the support of the President. That's one thing. He told me, you will have my support. So as a good soldier, I have to fight. I have to carry on the orders.
Sir, obviously, may pinaguhugutan po yung confidence ng Pangulo sa inyo. Matagal po kayo sa NBI. You've done a lot of investigations. So my question is not specific to PhilHealth. My question is more to your experience as an investigator. Pagka po pinag-uusapan ang corruption, ang graft, lalo na sa mga malalaking ahensya, we were talking about this. There's the system part, at nandun yung corruption part that deals with people. Sa instinct nyo lang po and sa experience nyo, when we're trying to fix a bureaucracy and rid it of corruption, is it more systemic or is it more personalities? And what's your experience? What does your experience tell you?
Experience for what?
I mean, saan po yung kailangan ayusin? Is it more about fixing the system, the technology, and so on, or is it just about ferreting out a few bad apples and some corrupt people?
The system is already there, and the laws are there, and all those laws and systems are being installed for the right purpose. But the problem is, you know what? The leader, the people. That's the problem. And the greed, that's the problem.
So magpapasok po ba kayo ng sarili niyong tao? Will you bring in your own people? Kasi unang-una, yung mga regional heads yung iba nasuspende, yung iba yata mari-reshuffle, no? Are you planning to bring in your own people in your house cleaning and in implementing reforms?
I'll have, for a start, I'll have to bring my own people coming from the NBI. I will have them detailed that the PhilHealth.
Okay. Yung pong mga regional directors, pinapa-reshuffle po ni Presidente, di ba? Hindi naman pinatatanggal. Although yung iba nasuspindi na. So itutuloy niyo po yon, yung reshuffle na yon, or ongoing na, or what are you doing?
Ma'am, technically, to be technical about that, I have not yet started, no? I have not reported to PhilHealth because I'm still waiting for my appointment papers.
So yung reshuffle, hindi lang sa regional director. Medyo bababa pa ba yun o mas lalawig pa kaya yun? Mas marami pang maapektuhan?
You know, the PhilHealth is GOCC.
Yes.
Government-owned and controlled corporation. There is a central authority that monitors GOCC. Yung tinatawag nila na governance committee. Yan po that governance committee is the one that evaluates the outcomes of the GOCC, and if it feels that it's no longer working on the purpose for which it was established, then the governance committee, being under the office of the president, will subject that to what we call this reorganization.
Sir, are you confident in the meantime that while you're fixing the system, implementing reforms, and weeding out corrupt leaders, are you confident in the meantime that the operations of PhilHealth on the public health delivery side will not be affected? Kasi very often nangyayari rin po yan sa mga bureaucracy na entrenched ang mga kailangan ayusin, and then the system revolts against the reform. Are we confident that we can carry out the reform, carry out painful and even hard-hitting reform without sacrificing the operations of PhilHealth?
We have to strike a balance with continuing with the services of the PhilHealth to our people, and at the same time curbing the corruption from within. Di naman pwede kasi na what we call this, hadlangin natin yung operation because we are fighting corruption. The service that the people need should be continued. No? That's why there should be a balancing of this act that the service would continue while we are fighting that deeply rooted corruption from within.
Sir, let me try to rephrase Robbie's question. Kayo po, you are a very very experienced investigator, and granted po 'yon. I mean that's well known to everybody. And before this, you were the NBI director. But with that in mind po, wouldn't it be better if an investigation was done separate of the management of PhilHealth? Kasi iba yung mag-iimbestiga ka at mag-uungkat ka ng dumi at magtatanggal ka ng mga masasamang itlog. Iba pa yung yung aayusin mo yung mga proseso, paandarin mo maigi, pakikitain mo yung PhilHealth, and that would need, I suppose, a great degree of experience dun sa health and insurance management. Hindi ho ba magkaiba yung dalawang iyon at mas maigi kung yung investigasyon sa inyo po binigay na lang?
Well, pwede naman, no? Pero para sa akin, I'd rather that it should be the PhilHealth themselves who conduct the investigation. Because yung sila mismo sa loob ang nakakalam. They are the ones that have the ins and outs of the affairs of the corporation.
Apo.
So I should have that. I should rather that it should be the corporation itself who started the investigation. But the problem is they were not up for the job.
Sir, ano pong masasabi ninyo dun sa report ng Committee of the Whole ng Senado?
Actually, papadalhan ako ng kopya, the hard copy ni Senate President, no? And I just naano ko lang dito sa television kanina, sa programa kanina, yung na meron ng the Committee of the Whole has come up with their findings, no? Well, that's their findings, no? And they are competent investigators, no? Senado ba naman yan? So napakagandang doon wala kang itatago doon. Unlike sa investigasyon namin, maraming itatago sa investigasyon namin kasi just like doon nung unang ginawa namin. Nanghingi kami ng papel noon kami nag-imbestiga noon pero hindi kami binigyan. Unlike in the Senate, which is a contempt power. So it tells us everything. The investigation tells us everything.
Mr. Gierran, i-follow up ko lang yung tanong ni Ed. Kasi sabi ni Mr. Morales, ang PhilHealth daw is not configured for this kind of yung house cleaning and investigation, and it's recommending actually na he recommended daw to the board na kumuha ng external management group para pag-aralan kung anong mga dapat gawin para nga completely na mawala yung mga opportunities na yan for corruption. Kaya lang tinanggihan daw ng board kasi kulang ang pondo. Do you think this is also a good idea? Interesado din ba kayo sa ganitong move?
Alam mo, minsan the operation is complicated. Complicated, one, because we are not yet conversant about the operations. No? But let's make it simple. No? As an accountant, you have the money. You're given 10 pesos. And together with the giving of 10 pesos is an instruction for you to buy these items. And then come back to me, give to me the items, and then liquidate. Simple as that. Ganun lang ang accounting eh. The problem is there are people, I'm not actually referring only to PhilHealth, no? There are people who would tinker with the policy, people who would tinker with the bidding process. Sa nakita natin, yung may sinasabi na there was a sweep payment of fraudulent claims, no? So these are things that would tell us that something is wrong. You just imagine there are disbursement, no, in the IRM, disbursements that are not covered with or only very lately where the board resolution came out. That's illegal. That's malversation. And the money involved is huge amount. See, and there was no liquidation. And the purpose for which this IRM was as made was specific for COVID. It was not. We learned that there were usage of those IRM which are not COVID related, like papanganak. You see, hindi naman COVID yun. You see, sweldo ng tao sa hospital. Hindi ano yun. Hindi COVID related yun. You see, something is wrong. Yung sabi ko, you have, even Congress giving us money, you have to spend the money for a purpose for which the money was given you. Simple as that. Failing to do that, malversation yan. Sigurado yan.
Sir, are you going to be starting from scratch? Because ang dami na pong naging investigate ngayon, no? Bukod sa Senado, pati pa yung Presidential Commission, yung anti-graft, no? Where are you going to start? Are you gonna jump off from any one of these investigations? Or will you start from scratch?
Alam mo, ma'am, when I get inside the PhilHealth, I will not be conducting the investigation immediately because there is already an NBI conducting the investigation. There is already a task force conducting the investigation for which the NBI is also there. My purpose there is to navigate the PhilHealth where it should be brought to a place where it should be. It's not just I will go in there to investigate. I will make it sure that the mandate of the corporation should be attained, should be followed. As simple as that.
Okay, maraming salamat po. Incoming PhilHealth Chief Dante Gierran. Sir, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you po.
Salamat po.
Thank you.
Good night.
We will just pause for a break, so please stay with us.
Welcome back to the Chiefs. We're now in the final stage of our conversation. And I would like to welcome the head of the Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission, Mr. Greco Belgica. Mr. Belgica, welcome again to the Chiefs. Good evening po.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm sorry I can't hear you, ma'am.
Good evening po. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Good evening. Hindi yata niya. Mr. Belgica, okay na po? Good evening.
Good evening po. Good evening po sa inyo lahat. Ma'am,
Can you hear us now? Can you hear us now?
yes, I can po.
Okay. Welcome back to the Chiefs, Mr. Belgica. Nung huli niyong pag-guest dito, you were talking about your recommendations on PhilHealth, which you submitted to the President, ano? Kumusta na po yung status nun? Ano na nangyari dun sa action? Well, apart from the fact na pinaimbestigan, nag-create ng task force. Pero yung sa inyong recommendation, ano na po nangyari?
Marami na po. Number one, we're part of the task force that was instructed to conduct the investigation. So PACC is part of that po.
Yes.
Ang dami yung agencies doon the biggest and strongest investigating agency is part of that. The Ombudsman, CSC, PACC, AMLAC is also there, NBI, DOJ. So now we have put our cases all together and we will be filing as one na po, kasama na po ang Ombudsman. Doon po, yung initial case na ifa-file namin sana sa Ombudsman will be filed in the through the task force maybe very soon. We have less than 2 weeks left po to finish with our recommendation and filing at the same time. Marami na po nangyari. Because of that po, the task force was created. The Ombudsman quickly suspended 13 officials. 6 regional directors or vice presidents left their office. Now the president asked for everyone to leave office. So these were all part of our, if you will trace back po, these were all part of our recommendation, even in the Senate, what I mentioned. So, and now what's really different about this investigation po now, this is the first time that we talked about systemic flaws and systemic changes that involves that haunts PhilHealth. Before we were just after people, and we kept changing people, that systems and change. So ngayon po talagang ang sentro, ang isa, dalawa lang naman po talaga ang sinabi ko sentro dyan yung IT system tsaka yung legal system, and that's what people or the investigating bodies are really talking about right now po.
Dalawa lang po, legal at saka IT. What about the other systems like the internal reimbursement mechanism, the upcasing, yung mga ganon? Hindi ba yun review?
It's part of the IT. Yung IRM po, ma'am, it's a resolution. It's not really a system. It's a product. It's a mechanism. It's it's not the system. It's a product that they sell or they give to hospitals. But the system I'm talking about po, that also relates to the IRM, is how is PhilHealth able to validate the claims or for the reimbursement that will come in through the IRM. Okay. You have to realize po, ma'am, that the new IRM that was issued is far different from the previous IRMs. By the name itself, IRM is a reimbursement mechanism. The COVID IRM is not based on any COVID-related reimbursement. It's more like a cash advance, as where hospitals can liquidate the expenses that they've incurred. So it's an advance. It's almost the opposite of a reimbursement. So it is highly irregular. The COVID IRM, of course, they will be justifying it, but that's what it is, because IRMs are really based on expenses that hospitals have already incurred. COVID has no reimbursement to speak about because there has never been COVID in the world. So yun po yun. So but again, so relating it to the IT system, ma'am, ang pinaka-issue lang naman po talaga sa PhilHealth is fraud insurance fraud po yan So yung pag nagki-claim na yung mga hospitals ng pneumonia when it's really cough and cold, the question is, how do you validate that what they're claiming is correct? So dun po, yun ang babayaran eh. So yun lang po ang issue dyan. If you can check that, and there are systems available for that already that they can use. 14 years ago, may nag-o-offer na sa kanila. Then you've completed 90% of the PhilHealth problem. Yung legal po na sinasabi ko po kasi, itong problema pong ito, matagal na naman po itong alam nila dahil kinakasuhan po ito. Libo-libo na ang mga reports, kaso sa kanila na hindi nag-flourish. Because of that red tape-filled legal system that they have, puro red tape yan, wala akong nag-flourish na kaso. So walang nahuli, walang naparusahan, so nagtuloy-tuloy. So that's what I'm saying. Kaya ang ganda po ng ginawa ng Pangulo na naggawa siya ng task force kasi an external investigation, ako po in my experience, is really better than an internal investigation dahil external lahat labas dahil no one's involved in the investigation na iniimbestigahan din.
Yeah, but Mr. Belgica, I mean, going to that point precisely, now the president has appointed a former NBI director. His mandate to this new director, I heard him yesterday, was specifically, mag-imbestiga ka, hanap ka ng corrupt dyan, hanap tayo ng makukulong dyan. In other words, that is going precisely into an internal investigation that you're saying, actually, mas maganda sana kung if we keep it external. Is this a changing in tactic, and how do you reconcile your insight with that in that regard? Actually, mas magandang external investigation rather than clearly Mr. Gierran is tasked to carry out an internal investigation.
Ang kagandahan po kasi rito sa nangyari ngayon, I think majority of what you will find, whoever will find in PhilHealth was already revealed in this investigation. Maganda yung Senate and Congressional and Task Force investigation na dahil alam mo na, mako-cure mo na. Number 2 po, si Director Gierran being NBI Director and being full-fledged NBI po yan, has the influence with him kasi kare-retire lang yan of NBI, so he can use these assets and then he can use the task force, the findings of the task force, the findings of the Senate and Congress, to put him up to speed, kung sino at ano at paano ang ginagawa nila doon, and with those informations madali po siyang makaka-formulate ng mga next steps niya kasama ng board
pero
niya.
Sir, using that argument, sir, why then would you appoint an investigator to head the PhilHealth? Why not appoint a manager who is very, very familiar, whose expertise is insurance or health insurance, to be specific, or something along those lines, while the investigation outside is going on? Kasi in the end, what you have now is an investigator whose main strength is investigating, heading the PhilHealth, investigating the PhilHealth, as well as managing something that comes in out of the blue.
I think una-una po, it's the president's decision. He knows best. Pero I think it's a very intelligent decision, sir. Dahil unang-una, the biggest problem in PhilHealth is really corruption for now. For now, that agency has a lot of money. It's going to raise a lot of money because of its system. So I'm not really scared na mawala ng pera yung mawala ng pera. Ako, I don't know. Number 3, si Director Gierran po will be sitting as president of a board. And he has experts that he needs there. There are doctors there, CPAs, finance people there in the board that can help him out. Lastly po, he is a CPA, so he knows numbers, he knows math. And with all this, and he is a lawyer pa. And on top of that, he is a very good investigator and very honest man. With all those things in place that can help him, he will be able to arrive at the right decision. Opo.
In any case, Mr. Bellica, he has the credentials, as you said, and he has the mandate from the president. And now the investigator is very capable, is sitting right. And then in the meantime, you have made your recommendations. You said you're ready to file the cases. Do we take it, therefore, that the task force is done with its job and basically tapos na po? It now moves into this new phase. The investigation moves internally and wala na pong kailangan gawin ng task force.
Hindi pa po, sir. Hindi pa po, sir. Inaasahan po kami mag-submit ng aming final recommendation sa task force middle of this month. So, second week po yun ng September at mag-file sa ombudsman. So, doon pa lang po matatapos ang aming trabaho. And titingnan namin kung ano pa sasabihin sa amin ng Pangulo, how to pursue. And then si Director Gierran, now President, PhilHealth President Gierran, iba naman po yung kanya, may detalye po yun dahil araw-araw na pagpapatakbo and make sure na yung mga general concepts na siyempre sa ginagawa mo namin investigasyon, hindi naman madidetalye lahat yun eh. So marami pa rin po siyang tatrabaho in sa details. Example po yung pag-streamline ng proseso para maging mabilis at transparent is very important para madaling ma-monitor. Paglalagay po ng IT solution is again very yun po ang top of the what he really needs to do is to put something and how to put it as quickly as possible. And then
Mr. Bellica, is there, as far as you can recall, is there a difference between the mandate that we are now all hearing and appreciating for Mr. Gierran and the mandate that former PhilHealth President Ricardo Morales had? Because Mr. Morales was also brought in as a reformer. He was also brought in to look at everything that you described should be on the plate of Mr. Gierran. Pagkakaiba po ba sa mandate ni Mr. Morales as an appointed reformer and sa mandate ni Mr. Gierran as an appointed investigator and reformer as well?
Well, number one is a lawyer and a CPA and a enforcer, a law enforcer, all at the same time is yun po ang unang credential. Pangalawa po, iba ho yung information na hawak ni Director Gierran ngayon or si PhilHealth President Gierran ngayon dahil sa investigasyon sa alam ng buong Pilipinas ngayon tsaka sa investigasyon na ginagawa ng task force, he will be equipped with a different kind of investigation.
So magkaiba yung role, in short.
Magkaiba yung information. That's precisely what I asked.
Magkaiba yung
Yes, magkaiba yung information. I ask because I ask only because I want to have an idea and maybe your reflection also. Na you look at the former president and he was assigned to carry out reforms. And so I granted iba yung information, iba yung alam natin ngayon, iba yung nangyari, may history na si Mr. Morales and so on. But at the end of the day, it's the same task, di ba? I mean, I guess gusto ko lang puntahan, gaano kahirap to given na meron ng mga previous reformer and we saw where it went.
Yun nga po ang sinasabi ko, sir. Ang kaibahan po ngayon is we are now talking about the system where previous investigation we're talking about people and we've seen it. Gaya po nito, isang information that we don't have they didn't have before. Sinubak na ng Pangulo buong board thinking that it will change. But the problem is the operation was in the regions. Kaya ngayon, kita mo, sinama niya region.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Bellica, maraming salamat po sa inyo.
Salamat po. Salamat po,
natin magpaalam.
Thank you po.
Maraming po salamat.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you po.
Okay. And
Okay na, late na.
Okay, we have to go. And that will be all for this special edition of The Chiefs. We hope the discussion will keep the conversation going. I'm Edwin Gao, One News.
I'm Ami Pamintuan of the Philippine Star.
And Lucy Cruz Valdez of News 5.
I'm Robbie Alampay and we are One News.